Hey, I'm Brian Carter. I want to give you 5 tips for creating powerful content that gets big results, okay? Let me tell you what gets me really excited. A number of things get me excited. I'm a little bit of a geek, so I get excited about data, but not just any data. Data that gives you big time results, okay? I love to get big results from people. That's why I do stand-up comedy. If I get a laugh, I know I'm on the right track. If I do Facebook ads or Google ads and we get leads or sales or just big engagement from people, I know I'm on the right track. And if we do Facebook posts and we get a big response, like high engagement rate, I know we're really resonating with that customer. So I love the data, but more than that, I love new creative ideas, okay? So one of the things we do with the Brian Carter Group is we create a lot of stuff. We create a lot of new ideas that fit the customers of our clients. Love doing that. My wife has a PhD in clinical psychology, so crazy stuff, right? We get into the psychology of the customer, which is a lot of fun. A lot of different customers out there with a lot of different clients. They're all different, so we have to customize this creative. So based on all that, and some of the big results we've gotten with different clients, that's measurable, which is, I love my geeky side loves that. We're gonna measure these huge results with these campaigns. So my 5 tips, I'm gonna run through them in overall, and then I'll give you some details, okay? So the 5 tips are: number 1, you wanna get your customer data so you know who those people are, okay? Because you got it customized. Number 2, you wanna get your competitor and category data and see what's out there, what kind of stuff is already being done, okay? Tip number 3, we're gonna segment and personalize, okay? So this creative has to fit the customer, and you may have multiple customers, okay? So we're gonna personalize. Number 4, copywriting, okay? This is a discipline that's been around since at least the 1930s. What words and phrases get the most results, okay? Copywriting. Number 5, testing and iterating quickly. This means a lot of content, a lot of testing, look at those results, and quickly pivoting and learning and creating more creative, okay? So let's talk about those 5 things that are gonna give us big results from a lot of creative, okay? Powerful creative. You ready? Okay, this is cool stuff. And if you learn this, you're gonna get big time results from your customers, okay? We're not talking about mediocrity. We don't want mediocrity. This is our enemy, okay? We want amazing outlier results, okay? We want awesomeness. That's what we're going for. So, number 1 is getting customer data. Who is your customer? What do they like? Now, if you haven't been in Facebook Audience Insights, you're missing out on super awesomeness, okay? Now, part of the Facebook ad tool suite is this thing called Facebook Audience Insights, okay? It's this awesome tool. You got to get in there and put in either your fans or people that like something in your category, or you can even upload your email list and analyze those people, okay? One of the things you'll get back if your audience is big enough, like say at least 10 or 20,000 people, is all the stuff they like, right? What TV shows do they like? What stores do they like? People they like? All kinds of categories, okay? And you can even sort it by affinity. You go down to the little bit lower and sort like other things they like besides what you have put in. Like you could put in people that like Coca-Cola or Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever it is. Find out the other stuff they like besides that, okay? So for example, Star Wars people love comic books. It makes sense if you think about it in hindsight, but did you know that before I told you? No. Would you have guessed that first? Maybe not. And Star Wars and Star Trek people are very different, okay? That's a whole other conversation, right? Now, PayPal found out their fans love The Walking Dead. They created a video based on that, and it did extremely well, okay? So identifying what your customers like is a great way to come up with new content, okay? And it's not just that, you need to know who they are. You can find out, because Facebook's data is not just what people have told Facebook, it's also they've got all the consumer data from Epsilon, Axiom, and Datalogix, which are 3 gigantic consumer data companies. Now, if you're outside the US, you won't get that data, but if you're inside the US, oh boy, you're gonna get all this consumer data. Like, so let's say you belong to Home Depot or Best Buy, or your local grocery store's loyalty program, you gave them an email, and if it's the same one as Facebook, that data is correlated, okay? If you bought a car, if you've gotten a mortgage loan, all that stuff, that's correlated. So there are a lot of people that we can look at their data and find out like what kind of car are they driving? What kind of car are they in the market for? How much money do they have? What's their income, net worth, home size, all kinds of crazy stuff. So you can figure out who your customer is now. You don't have to guess at the personas anymore, okay? Like a lot of companies love personas, you don't have to guess anymore, and we'll talk about that in personalization. But you need to get this data, okay? Who is your customer so that you can start having a true idea who they are. You don't have to guess anymore because guessing is a waste of time, right? We're going to talk about micro testing, right? We're going to want to test creatives to see what works and what doesn't. We'll get more data from that. We'll get more information. Does this particular image and this headline work? But we can start out so much further ahead if you do a little bit of research first, okay? So that is getting the customer data, tip number one, okay? Number two, get competitor and category data, okay? So one of my favorite tools for this is BuzzSumo, right? Now, what's working already in your niche and with your keywords, right? People are already looking for things related to what you sell. People are looking for things in your niche. So buzzsumo.com is a killer tool to find out what content is already doing really well out there in your niche, right? So you go there, it's kind of like the Google of highly shared content, BuzzSumo is. You put in some keywords and you can find like all this like infographics and videos and stuff that's already been shared like crazy out there on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest and Google Plus. And find out, and if you really want to, customize for one of those networks, like you want to do well on LinkedIn, you can find out what stuff has been the best on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Twitter, okay? You can do a lot of research and it'll tell you also what specifically has done well on Pinterest, what specifically has done well on Google. It's an amazing content research tool that you have to use. If you're not using it, gosh, you're missing out and you're blind, right? So get that competitor and category data. It also has a Facebook search tool, so you can search specifically for really powerful content on Facebook. One of our clients, we found that their audience really just loves shared videos, and so we search Facebook all the time for videos on certain topics and share those videos, okay? Other clients we're creating, custom content for, but this one, it works really well for. So that's a powerful tool, BuzzSumo. That's tip number three. Get that competitor and category data, okay? So that you know what kind of content's working well. You could do that with infographics as well. Find out what infographics are doing the best overall in the entire world, in the last month, in the last 6 months or year. What infographics are doing well in your niche, okay? Or videos, or articles, or guest posts, okay? It's a powerful tool, BuzzSumo. Every serious marketer should have a subscription to this. It's a very good tool. Tip number three for creating powerful marketing content that's going to get you bigger results is segment and personalize, okay? Now, I've heard it said, Robert Rose had a great quote. He said, everybody talks about personalization, nobody does it. I think one of the reasons people don't do it is because it's hard not only to get the right information to do this well, but also to execute it, because it's hard to do it organically. How are you gonna post on Facebook to a segmented audience if you only got one Facebook page, right? You have to use ads, because if you advertise, you can put out stuff to millennials with one ad and show different content. You can put stuff out to baby boomers with another ad and show different content, right? We had a client where we were doing an entire just email custom audience campaign. The only thing we were doing was advertising to their hundreds of thousands of email list people, right? And to make it more personalized, we actually segmented by generation. So we had different content for the millennials, different content for Gen X, and different content for baby boomers, okay? And that worked much better than it would have if we just showed the same thing to everybody, okay? Because people need different content. They like different things. And we even segmented even further. After a while, we got into what are the different types of millennials? The ones that have jobs, the ones that have families, the ones that are just coming out of school, different types of people. You need to have different personas, and you want to figure out what those are. It's got to be meaningful to your business, of course. Maybe it's based on your buyers. Maybe it's based on other research. You figure out what works for you with your personas. There are a lot of different systems out there. And Facebook Audience Insights, by the way, has a demographic persona system that comes from Axiom. If you want to get that, you can put your information in however you select an audience, whether it's through likes or through email addresses or whatever. They'll list out the top personas for your audience, okay? And then you could choose to go after some of the top personas, okay? Another thing you might want to consider doing when you're segmenting, especially if you have big email audiences. We've done some research projects for clients where we are really just auditing and assessing their buyers versus non-buyers, okay? So if you have an email list of buyers versus an email list of non-buyers, then you want to upload your email list of buyers to Facebook Custom Audience, email the non-buyers or leads. You can even email if you have a really loyal buyer list, okay? Then analyze those lists separately in Facebook Audience Insights and find out the difference. What's the difference? Do they like different things? Do they have different incomes? Do they live in different cities, okay? Find out who your best buyers are compared to the non-buyers. Find out who your loyal buyers are compared to non-loyal buyers, okay? Because this will help you target better, and this will help you come up with better creative. If you find out what your buyers like, if it's different than non-buyers, that's going to help you create more effective campaigns, right? Because if you're putting out content that only non-buyers like, you're turning off your buyers, okay? You want to know that, right? So that's what comes from segmenting and personalizing, and even getting segmented and personalized data, okay? This is next level marketing that everyone needs to move towards, okay? I know not everybody's doing this yet, but this is the next level, the future of, data and creative personalization, okay? So that's step 3, segment and personalize. Step 4, copywriting elements. Now, copywriting, not everybody knows what it is. Some people think it's how you protect trademarks. No, copywriting is what are the pains that your customer has? What are the benefits of your product or service? What is the dream that they want to head towards? What is the nightmare they're running away from? What's the unique selling proposition of your product or service that's a competitive advantage you have over your competitors? What are your competitors' advantages that you need to figure out how to fight against? Okay. What are the withouts? The withouts are things that your customer thinks they need to have in order to buy or get what you have or get the goal they're trying to go forward for. But with your product or service, they don't need to have those things. Those are withouts. So you could say, you can get your goal, get away from your pain without having to have this stuff, right? So a lot of content and a lot of marketing fails because the prospect sees the marketing and it doesn't grab them at all, okay? It could be attention grabbing, which is another skill, but it doesn't resonate with their problem, their pain, their need, their goal, their desire, their dream, okay? If it doesn't resonate with those things, just think about yourself, right? You have problems, you have goals, there are things you're trying to get away from, things you're trying to move towards, okay? Like a hero in a novel, you're striving for something, okay? And so is your customer. They have a trajectory, right? They have a movement. They want to go a certain direction away from something towards something. And if your copy doesn't talk about those things, it will not produce movement. And you need to produce movement, action, get them to do something. Okay, if you want to move them, you have to talk about what they want to get away from and what they want to move towards, okay? You have to talk about the consequences of not doing something, right? One of the competitors everyone has is the customer doing nothing, okay? What are the consequences of doing nothing? What are the consequences of not going with you? This is what copywriting talks about. So if you don't know those elements of copywriting about your product or service, you won't be able to write effective copy. You won't be able to speak effectively, right? And whatever words you put out there will not affect people, okay? There are other types of marketing, Like,
That's a big bull.
there's the moody Matthew McConaughey Lincoln commercial where it's all, projecting a certain type of,
I think that's all science.
mood and ethos and aesthetic.
1,800 pounds.
That's a little bit different. Not all of us can afford to put out a TV commercial with a celebrity actor. So if you can't afford to do that, copywriting is really powerful, and I would highly recommend it. So I highly recommend you answer those questions for yourself about your customer, pain, benefit, all those types of things, okay? And then put that in your copy. If you're not getting big results, it may be your copy, okay? That's number 4. Number 5 for powerful content is testing and iterating quickly, okay? Often our first ideas don't work, okay? Because we got whatever data we got from the customer, we had some ideas. Sometimes we have some brilliant ideas right away. Sometimes you have a great first month with your stuff, and sometimes you have a honeymoon period where things are great, and then you have a sophomore slump, okay? You have to keep having ideas, and you have to keep testing. If you don't get great results right away, you have to keep coming up with more ideas, okay? Hopefully at some point, you're getting indicators of this works, this doesn't. This works, this doesn't, okay? You put them into 2 columns based on your key metric, okay? Are you doing leads or sales? Are you doing engagement or what? What is your key metric, okay? Is it cost per engagement, cost per sale, cost per lead? Whatever your metric is, you're gonna divide your creative up, okay, into low results, high results, okay? Didn't work, did work, okay? Make 2 columns. Wow, they really like dogs. They don't like clowns. Wow, they really like when we talk about the pain. They don't like when we just talk about the dream. Whatever the results are, create 2 columns and figure out what gets results with your audience and your product, your service, okay? It is different with every client we work with, okay? There are certain processes and systems we have for working with people, but the creative that works for every company and every product and every service is different. The customer is slightly different, the targeting is slightly different, and the product and the company are different, okay? And a year from now, people are gonna feel different. The politics and the culture are gonna be different, okay? So this is a moving target all the time with marketing. It's cultural and it's about people. So we have to constantly create new stuff. That's why creative is so important, and we have to test. And I'll tell you, when we work sometimes with agencies that are from the old paradigm are used to thinking of, we're gonna create some ideas, we're gonna run them for a year or 6 months. That doesn't work anymore, especially on Facebook, right? Or Instagram, where you have to create new ideas every week, okay? Or you run an ad like for a day and it's clear it doesn't work. You can't run that anymore. We need new creative, okay? So some agencies are agile with creative and some are not. And we've worked with some agencies where they're like, oh wow, okay, no, you guys are gonna have to create the creative, okay? So we often do that. And sometimes it's as simple as you just try a whole bunch more Shutterstock photos and a whole bunch more headlines. Sometimes you have to go out and take a lot more photos. Sometimes you need a lot more variations of the same photo that's doing well, okay? But you have to be prepared to get a lot more creative, okay? A lot more images, a lot more headlines, a lot more stuff. You have to be agile. So it's a tough environment right now for companies that don't have the ability to create or don't hire someone that creates, okay? Because the data and the psychology understanding and the ability to be agile and create a lot of stuff is what drives a lot of big results today, okay? That's the way it is. That's the way we work, and I hope you find that stuff helpful. If you have any questions, let us know. We love this stuff. I hope you find that useful.